In part 1 of this lecture, we learnt how Volta for the first time produced current electricity in a voltaic cell.
Volta also measured the characteristic EMF of different pairs of metals in the place of copper and zinc. We now understand that the phenomenon inside the voltaic pile, or what we see today as a household battery, the electrical potential difference is caused by separation of positive and negative charges, and this separation results due to the chemical reaction between electrodes and the electrolyte. Now, being a potential, this electromagnetic force can drive a unit charge. Outside the circuit, it will drive the charge from electrical terminal of a higher potential to another terminal of a lower potential, and thus it will perform some work. This idea is like pumping water up into a tank. From that level at a height, water can be distributed from higher to lower potential. However, initially the pump had to push water from the lower to the higher potential, that is, the pump had to do some work. Similarly, inside the battery or the cell, work will be done and the electric charge will be pushed from lower to higher potential. Let us therefore define EMF as the external work done per unit charge that leads to an electric potential difference across two terminals of a battery or any such apparatus which can hold the electric potential. Mathematically, we say that epsilon is equal to dW by dQ, where dW is a small work done on a small unit of charge called dQ. The electrical potential difference which is thus created would cause a current to flow if an external circuit is attached to this source of EMF. Inside the cell, it is a chemical reaction which will push the positive charge from the position of low potential to the position of a high potential, and in the process the work dW will be performed on the charge. In the open circuit case, the reaction at the electrode and the electrolyte interface will continue to separate the two charges, and it will continue to increase or provide the EMF until the electrostatic field from these separated charges is sufficient to arrest the further flow of the incoming charges. This is why an open circuit battery will not drain out early, and this is why it is recommended to open the battery in your cars when you know that the car is not likely to be used for a long time. Now, the overall electrochemical cell reaction can be understood as a two-step reaction, which we call two half reactions. One equation we write for the reduction reaction, in which electrons are gained, and the second equation we write for the oxidation reaction, in which electrons are given away. But remember that the number of electrons gained in the reduction half reaction must equal to the number of electrons lost in the oxidation half reaction. However, since the elements of the electrode are different, their internal energy levels are also different. The element which is giving away electron and the element which is accepting the electron, they both have different energy levels. This is the source of energy inside the cell which will make the pushing of the charge from lower potential terminal to the higher potential terminal. The higher the energy difference per reacting charge, that is the electron, the higher the potential which you will be able to get from that particular cell. The cell's EMF therefore is calculated by adding the E values for each half reaction. So, we mathematically write E of the cell is equal to E of reduction minus E of oxidation. As the cell operates, the reactants are used up and this may cause the EMF to decrease. We can see some typical half electrode potentials and remember them. For example, potassium has minus 2.92 volt, aluminum has minus 1.66 volt, zinc has minus 0.76 volt, nickel has minus 0.23 volt, copper has plus 0.35 volt and silver has plus 0.80 volt. Thus, a typical copper zinc cell will have the EMF of 1.10 volts, whereas silver zinc cell will have the EMF of 1.56 volts and the copper aluminum cell will give you the EMF of 2.00 volts. Similar other sources of EMF are solar cell or photodiode, where light energy is the external source of energy to separate the positive and negative charges. In thermionic emissions, it is the thermal energy, and in the fuel cells, it is again the chemical energy. Now, having understood all this about the EMF, that is electromotive force, and the voltage batteries, we come to a very interesting consequential development out of these. This was the discovery of electromagnetic induction by Faraday in 1831. We can recall that the static electricity and magnetism were known to humanity for many decades, but the discovery of current, which came from the voltaic pile, was a very new phenomenon, and many scientists rushed to experiment with the current electricity. Among them, Oersted had observed, and he had reported that a magnetic needle which was kept near a current switch flickered whenever the current was either switched off or on. So, if a current can influence a magnet, then will not a magnet influence the current? Faraday observed that whenever the magnetic flux changes, it gives rise to a voltage and consequently to a current, meaning that a changing magnetic flux is a source of EMF. Now, magnetic flux can be changed either by moving a magnet, say inside the coil of a metal conductor, or you move the coil itself and keep the two magnetic poles in a fixed position.